Kim, why we don't have audio? Because something had to go wrong somewhere.
I didn't do it this time.
Nope.
I'm the new guy here. It was definitely not me.
I get to start over again?
Oh yeah, you totally get to start over again.
Lord.
All right, do we have audio yet? Everybody give Baby Ninja some love for whatever he did to turn it on and turn it off again. Like, I was about to say, I think that counts as you done fucked up, Baby Ninja. Your Grace, the Bone Duke, would you like to restart the introduction, or shall we just go to our introductions because everybody's heard that other introduction a million times?
I think we'll just start with our introductions.
You have to read the drinks again, though. Like, that's my vote.
Okay, I can do that. Tonight's show is sponsored by Lime Patron or coconut rum with pineapple juice. Why? Because Sven wants to watch me punch somebody, or he thinks it's delicious and doesn't need a chaser. And the mixed drink, the three favorite flavors are cold, alcoholic, and sweet. I am your guest host tonight, Bela Koch of the Chippendales, otherwise known as the Bone Duke. And joining me, as always, is Sir Danger Muppet, Helga.
I'm Sir Danger Muppet. I'm super excited to have both these two guys here tonight on the show. It's going to be a rowdy good time. Probably get a little redneck in the process. So I'm going to go with short and sweet of I like dogs, and I'm super excited. Sven, would you like to introduce yourself?
For the second time? Absolutely.
Yeah, for the second time. Now with audio.
Right? Thank you for having me on. I look forward to bringing out the redneckery, a little bit of drinking, and talking about the fun and the what we miss about the SCA. And I'll drink to that.
So with that, I'm going to remind everybody of the drinking rules. And I'm also going to put out that tonight there is 2 extra rules because our guest host also added one. Also to note, we've all been pre-gaming. This might be a little bit of a rodeo tonight. So the drinking game. When a host or guest uses a non-SCA name when referring to somebody else on the show. When somebody's pet appears on camera. When somebody calls for a soapbox or uses a soapbox. When somebody uses the term spite sprinkles or mentions toe beans. And the guest host rule is anytime somebody says allegedly. And Sven, what's your rule for tonight?
Anytime I use my favorite phrase, yo Grace.
I'll drink to that one.
That's not going to happen at all tonight, Your Grace.
Oh, no. So you got to put the redneck slang on it. It's yo Grace.
Oh, my bad.
Yo Grace.
Not quite enough energy to finish it out. It's just yo Grace.
Okay, I'm just taking one drink for all of that. All right, this is a reminder before we roll into questions. You're welcome to submit questions in the chat of the live feed. We'll try to get to them at the end of the show, or if our guest or our other host decides they want to answer right meow, they can. So, the first question of the night, Bela, that one's to you.
Sven, how did you find the SCA?
I did foam fighting for quite some time, I guess since the mid-90s, 94 or so. And once you're in one medieval-esque organization, you kind of learn about all the rest of them. And at the time when I was doing foam, SCA was more of like where foam fighters went to retire. It was old people. And because I started doing that when I was 16, 17. And over the years as it went by, I played. And I was kind of looking for other stuff to do. So I tried fencing and just about every other combat sport out there. So eventually I was like, I'll go try this old person's game. I went out there and I had moved from Houston, which is god awful to fight in the summer in anything, back up to Dallas. And I found the local park and went out and fought. It was a bunch of new people, a bunch of shieldmen, and my little 2 swords. And it was pretty fun. And then they called Drake, who would eventually become my knight, about some random guy. They come out there and beat up all their newbies. And then he came out the next weekend and introduced himself. They thought I was a knight from another kingdom or something. And so became a good friendship with him. We've been friends 12 years now. And he definitely sucked me into the SCA. It's the reason I stuck around is to friends, obviously. And It's not just another fighting game. It's definitely a more like-minded. Whereas Amtgard is more like you're 14 to 25, maybe 30. It was an older age group that I shifted into, and I kind of stuck around. Been having fun with it ever since.
Nice. All right, this one, comes from us. We wrote a bunch of questions for you because we felt like we should.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite part about giving two-stick hugs?
The bruises, obviously.
Great answer. I'll drink to that.
This show's gonna get drunk quick.
It is.
All right, Bailey, you want to do
All right, moving on. You answered those quick. All right. Who hits harder, Amtgard or the SCA?
Oh, the SCA by far. Strangely enough, though, I have far more injuries from Amtgard than I ever thought about having from the SCA. And it's from the lack of protective equipment. At the time when I played Amtgard, you could have a pole arm up to 12, 13 foot in length, but only the last 12 inches had that striking edge on it, right? And then you got what they call a safety margin, was like the world's thinnest foam that does nothing. And so that's where a lot of my split open knuckles come from, or getting hit in the elbows. It's what cut my eyebrow, broke and shattered my nose. Tons of injury from foam. Way more injuries. SCA, way unpleasant to get hit, but not nearly as much. You can pad yourself or arm yourself as much as you want, and it generally makes for a better experience. And that's what I try to sell to the foam guys when they're coming over. I was like, you're not randomly getting bashed in the hands or in the shins by pole arm shafts, because you wear armor and have way more fun with it.
Nice. You ready for the next one? I like how it's like kind of maybe. So this one starts. This is all the questions, so we'll all answer these from now on. So this one comes from the hosts. What drives you to train your students, and what keeps you engaged?
Well, Yo Grace. I've been fighting for quite some time, and I've been at the top of the heap on several of the games, and I don't necessarily have the drive that I used to, and it's why it took me so long to get back to training this last time with all the stuff we were going through. What gives me the drive anymore is my students, is my younger guys that want to find that peak. They're interested in that getting better. They have the drive and the want to improve and learn, and them having the energy and being energetic about training and getting better. It encourages me to teach them more. It makes me want to go out. We still do once a week. We do our Thursdays. Up until this whole pandemic, we've probably been doing every Thursday or every Tuesday, depending on where the practice cycle to, for 15 years, 16 years continuously. And we recently got back to it, and their energy is what makes me train. They come out, they want to do it, and then by proxy, it's infectious. Once you get that group spirit and everybody's wanting to learn and go, you, as a whole, this makes it easier for the group. You get out there and do your thing. It's too many people are hung up on winning and losing instead of sucking less. We always say you're not trying to get better, you're trying to suck less at what you're doing. And then that mentality helps you have longevity in fighting, because too many people are hung up in those where they consider a plateau or something. And if you view your approach to fighting as in more like polishing a rock and less like jumping and getting better, it makes your whole experience better and easier to have buy-in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bela?
Oh, I have to answer next? Okay.
Yeah.
So much like Sven, I've been doing combat sports for a very, very long time. And, there aren't many tournaments out there that I wanted to win that I haven't won. So like personal accolades and things like that don't really have much appeal to me really anymore. I just enjoy fighting the top fighters, getting the opportunity to fight His Grace Sven, to fight Ailenon, to fight Hans, to fight, like, there's so many guys, right? But what really gets me excited about the fighting and working with newer guys is I love being able to give somebody a tool or a piece of advice, mechanic wise or whatever, that really makes the light switch come on and you can see the excitement and You can see that they get that concept, and then watch them go out and wreck somebody that has no idea they're about to get wrecked by this kid. That excites me. That makes me want to just keep giving those knowledge nuggets and watching people get wrecked by new guys. What keeps me engaged is working with those guys, working with people that have an honest, sincere desire to want to get better, and the friendships. Like I've said for a long time that I'm not a people person. I don't like people for the most part. And what this pandemic has taught me is the majority of the people in the SCA are my family and they're my tribe and they're not people. Everybody else is people. And I really need to see my friends and family, and I need to spend that time with them to recharge my soul, to make me, really get what it's supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing on this rock. And if I don't have that time with those people, I feel a little lost.
Definitely. All right. What drives me to train my students and what keeps me engaged? Driving to train my students is okay. This is probably going to be a mini soapbox on this one. Is I grew up with a bunch of heroes that chose never to replace themselves. There was so much ego in being the best that they forgot that eventually they're going to age out. And so what drives me to train my students is that at some point when I fall to age and injury, I want somebody better to stand in my place. And I want somebody that has as much or more capability to fight, to train, to teach, to, art, to do service, to provide what this society is. Because if I try to guard that knowledge, I'm actually taking it away from the society. And I'm forgetting that the first job of a peer is actually to learn how to replace yourself with a better version, or make somebody else a better version of themselves. So when you are gone, they are still there and this can continue to go. What keeps me engaged? Holy shit, all you motherfuckers. I absolutely adore the people in the SCA. The SCA is full of this huge, dynamic, cultural, just odd melting pot where we all come together about our weird medieval or stick jock or art jock or service jock mentality, and we hang out and we drink together and we BS and we do our thing. And we do our thing under this large umbrella. And in the end, we all make each other better. And that's what keeps me engaged, is the society itself has made me better. The people I know in the society have made me better and made those around me better. And without it, I'd probably be some little fucking jackass still living in a small little redneck town doing very little redneck things instead of being a cultured redneck. Thank you very fucking much.
We prefer the term citified.
Citified. I don't know. I own a horse again, so life is good there. All right,
We're ready for the next question? Okay. So this question was submitted by the ever popular Anonymous. What is a piece of advice you give when someone is sitting vigil, and why?
I don't know. The main thing I try to tell people in vigils is they get a ton of advice about what you should do and what you should do, other people should do, and what you should do going forward. I generally tell people to remember why you do what you do. My motto is Latin is age quod aegis. It's well known through purchasing. It's just do what you do. It's enjoy what you do and remember where you came from. Try to always be humble and always make it fun for others. I think too many people in the SCA take it too seriously, and they suck the fun out from others. They're too worried about their SCA instead of the overall enjoyment. SCA is going to continue to change as younger and other people play. It's important to let that change happen. The more you guard that and you try to hold that against people, it hurts our game. And so just make it fun. You always want to have a good time, and you want to help others have a good time. And by meeting and having friends and not being closed off dickhead, you're gonna have a ton of fun. That's just a simple advice I give to everybody. Just remember what makes it fun. Don't take that from other people.
So my piece of advice is write down everything you fucked up right before you were offered. every interaction, everything that you can remember, and you are to read that on your anniversary every year. So 20 years down the road, when your memory has turned everything into stars and roses and you've moved the bar because you're the peer that you are now and you're holding somebody to where you're at versus where you were, you're going to have that reminder. And put it in your vigil book. Put it in something where you're not going to forget it, and read it. And remember who you were when you were offered. So you hold somebody to a proper bar and the chosen bar that you make for them versus some idealized version of what you were in Fantasyland. So, yeah, that's my vigil advice.
Okay. I normally have all kinds of like really deep, meaningful stuff, but you guys have kind of covered that stuff. So there's also some less meaningful, well, maybe not less meaningful, but more lighthearted advice that I give folks in vigils. And it's usually 3 things. First, never give a pirate an award. I'll explain that later in the show. 2, another question will give me the opportunity to tell a story as to why you never give a pirate an award. Number 2, always take $2 bills to the strip club. Number 3, penis.
Whoa. Back that bus up. I want that story.
See, if you take $2 bills to the strip club, number 1, you throw the $2 bill up there. It's dark. She's dancing. She looks down, sees the 2 and thinks it's a 20. You're all of a sudden her favorite person in the world. By the time she realizes it's not a 20, she's a little sad. But if she stops and thinks about it, she realizes it's still twice what everybody else is putting up there. Also, usually you are the only one there with the $2 bills, so they find out who you are real quick. Always think it.
And your third piece of advice is?
The third piece of advice is always remember penis equals stupid, vagina equals crazy.
I think that's more like a coming of age conversation, really. Like, I feel like your 3 pieces of vigil advice are like anything that you give a 16-year-old boy.
I was like, 19-year-old Seth would have enjoyed all this stuff.
Hey, you got to know these things. That's what I'm saying. You just got to know these things.
I mean, I almost like am worried to ask what your birds and the bees conversation is after the $2 $2 bills at strip clubs.
What's wrong with the $2 bill? That's a genius move.
For you, not the stripper.
Sure it is. They're still making twice as much money.
Not coins. I think it's great. You're definitely double down.
Dollar coins.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we move to the next question? Because I want to get to whatever question is going to make you answer why you don't give pirates awards.
Sure.
All right. This next one comes from James the Holy. What is the biggest way to encourage investment in the SCA?
Investment in others. I feel the age gap hurts that for a lot of our younger members and stuff, is that you have to take the time to be interested in what they want to do and put time into them. Whether it's lost time you get back or not, it's something that you have to put forward. You have to invest and build that person up, and then you will get that in return. It's not something you could take from them. It's something that has to be freely given, and it can only be freely given by them if they feel like people are investing in them. The hardest time when people come to join, most people say is that they feel like they weren't welcomed, or they weren't approached, or they were just like briefly went by. My Knight Drake was super good with it. I was always shy and not good at approaching and talking to people, and he really got me out of my shell and to go over and talk to these people and get their number, call them, message them, get that feedback, get that build up, because if you don't show interest in them, they're not going to show interest in what we do. Simple as that.
That's a good answer. For me, it boils down to really it costs us nothing at all to be kind to somebody and to be courteous, right? As a peer, as a longtime player, as a member of the royalty or whatever, if a new person comes up to you super excited about this thing that they spent 8 hours making, that they just learned how to make, right? take 30 seconds and have a conversation with them and point out the things that you like about it and point out how amazing it was that they made that thing from scratch, and, you know, point them in directions of people who make those things, you know, introduce them to the people that are masters at that object, right? Too many times people get excited about something, or, you know, they show up at an event in this dress that they spent 8 hours making, and the first thing someone says is, yeah, zippers aren't period. Who the fuck cares, man? They put in the time and energy to make something that they're proud of, and it's on us to make them feel welcome and to make them know that we appreciate their excitement, you know? And I typically don't go and talk to new people right away unless someone's introduced to me, because I have resting eat your baby face, right? People see me from across the road and think that guy's going to murder me in my sleep. So until someone introduces me, I just don't go up and talk to them, because I don't want them to shit their pants, right? But once I've been introduced to them, I go out of my way when I see them at an event and tell them, hey, it's good to see you here. I'm glad you're here. How's your trip to the event? Like, how can I make your event better, right? It takes nothing out of my day to be nice to somebody and to show them that I'm happy that they're at the event with us.
I mean, I don't know how I follow up either of your guys' answers and add to that. So I'm going to say yes. Then I'm going to add the little tidbit in here of, I agree with Sven about the investment, and I'm going to say, instead of an external look, an internal view on that investment is network. So when you are given somebody new, you don't have to solve all their problems or all their needs, but you can find somebody that can help them joyously. That is a huge way to encourage investment in the SCA, is actually by spurring your teachers on, is by spurring that next generation of people that will have that teaching ability on. Because when you take them a student, especially as a new teacher, when you take them a student, they light up. And so they want to reinvest their knowledge into the SCA, into the newcomer, into the new fighter, whatever. And so learn who your new teachers are, help them teach, and help them learn how to give back to the next generation. And that's going to take things to a whole new level, because it gives the newcomer the resources that you may not even have time to give. And it gives the new teacher authority in quotes to start giving information back. And that's what creates this huge knowledge pool. So that's what I would add into that. All right, we ready for the next one? We are blowing through the questions. We're going to hit every audience question, I'm betting, tonight.
That's all right, though. I apologize in advance because I'm about to murderize this name. This question was submitted by Yisfael Brindu.
It's just fine.
Huh?
Yeah, you're close. You're close.
Okay. What games do you play to keep yourself sane when sitting as crown royals or as a court member?
Sven, your look is priceless right now.
Only having done it 3 times, and I know the Bone Duke here has done it several more times than I. I try my absolute best to pay it, basically like a super game of people watching. You know, I'm trying to watch out for other people for what they do, and to try to recognize, to give tokens for small things. Like, that's when I try to be the most observant of everyone else and try to pay attention to my usual routine as little as possible, because giving those tokens and giving that small praise and seeing what other people do while you're crowned is the biggest gift that you can do for others. And that's kind of, when you're at events and you're on, you have to be hyper vigilant for that stuff. No one wants a disinterested crown or someone who is just trying to do your status quo. I learned early on those small gifts mean a lot. When we were super new, Duke John Paul, one of our, was crowned, and we went out to our first event, and he saw myself and my wife, Her Grace Antigone, and he gave her a nice mug and had a good speech about it. It was something he went out of his way to find new people, and that stuck with us. It's been 12 years ago, and I remember where we were, what the mug looks like, and everything. And so those kind of interactions when you're crowned help you yourself get through events, and it helps others see what the crown can be. the less selfish you can be with it, the better it is. Not that you can always be successful with it, but it's what I do.
Well spoken. I'm gonna be the jackass in this answer. So if I'm sitting like this is where, so I believe in paying attention when giving awards and hearing announcements and everything else like that. And then there's the lulls in between when there's like shifts of like heralds are figuring things out or something's going on and you're not really involved yet. I am all down for phrasing betting. And so I always bring a bag of coins and we'll call other royals or the heralds on phrasing. And if you call somebody on phrasing, they have to pay you a coin. And so it's a mutual game with everybody that's sitting up there is like whoever can call who first then gets paid. And also you call people on phrasing while they're doing announcements. And it turns into a big game with the populace. And if you ever have your entire populace yell phrasing, it is emotionally satisfying. Like I will just tell you that. Hans and I, where we tried to be very like we kind of did banish phrasing for a little while because I was reigning, which means everything is a weird sexual innuendo all the time. But I think that one of the ways that we can give back as royals is also showing people that while you can be poised and you can be regal, you can still have fun. And so we really worked on like having fun with the populace, especially in court, because otherwise you're sitting through court and it's really boring and it's long and everything else like that. But if you have those little background games going on and it's okay, the populace gets engaged with them and they interact with you on a different level. And then you come, then you have the person that you're giving the AOA to and you just emotionally smash them into tears because you speak the truth to them. And then you like turn them loose back onto the populace. And then you go right back to the game. And so there's a way to be fun and be regal at the same time. And so that's what I would say is that's how I kind of didn't get like bored in between things because I'm a little ADD.
I don't think you're the jackass because I'm going to win that right now. I agree with Yo Grace about,
now
watching people and giving gifts for things that people do that are cool. I typically wear a lot of jewelry during my reigns so that when someone does something cool, I can give that item of jewelry to them. But like Helga said, you have to have fun with it. If you're not having fun, the populace isn't having fun. So a lot of times we've played, the court drinking game where we each pick a phrase or a word. And when that word is said, that's your time to drink. And everyone has a different one. So it keeps us a little bit engaged and it keeps us paying attention to what's going on and not drifting off and thinking about the next two awards or the next piece of business or whatever, because you have to pay attention or you're going to miss and then you're going to owe 6 drinks and your guard's not going to let you live that down ever. But the all-time greatest was during one of my reigns. I don't know why or how this came about. I'm pretty sure it was my idea. I convinced all of our guards to play the game that they play in the movie Waiting. I don't know if you've watched that. It's a Ryan Reynolds film where all of the waiting staff and the cook staff try to find ways to trick other members of the guard and retinue to see your genitals, basically. And my King's Champion was the best at it. He got everyone, and he came up with this particular move because they all have names, and he came up with one that was called the Bela, but it only counted if you shaved. So you'll have to ask him about that at some point.
I'm sorry, we don't have him on the show. We have you on the show, so we're just gonna ask.
He had to describe it. It's his move, man. I can't describe it for him.
I just want to know how it became the thing where you had to be shaved for that one to go on because you're kind of hairy.
At that time, I didn't have a full goatee. I just had the middle strip, and it was really long. And so I think he wanted it to look like that. Is my guess.
Oh, solid.
Okay, you're.
Let me tell you, there's nothing like, as being king and walking up to a party with your entourage and turning and seeing your King's Champion like 15 feet away, just nailing everybody. And it was brilliant. It was genius. And I almost pissed myself. I was laughing so hard.
I'm just gonna say, you have hero worship from your guard when they mimic your facial hair on their genitals.
That's what I was
Like,
gonna say.
that's a
Like,
whole new level of
impressive.
fuckery.
Yeah. I think it would be hard to do a goatee, is what I was thinking.
I mean, does that just go around everything? You got like the middle patch shaved, and then there's like a border.
Exactly.
I don't know. I just know that my champion was very good at it. He got at least, I know he got all of the male members of the guard and a couple of the female members of the guard that decided voluntarily to play. This was, if people opted out, they were excluded from the game and no one tried to get them. So let's be clear there.
I mean, how did you opt out? Did you just run out with like a printed out sensor bar and be like, and just like stick it to them?
We had a retinue meeting at the beginning, and I was like, hey, we're gonna have some fun, and has anybody seen this movie? And we explained it, and we said we're gonna play this game. If you won't want to play, now's your chance to say you don't want to play.
I gotta have better retinue meetings because I'm getting out of this.
I'm just saying.
I'm bringing flashcards with me next time.
You got to have some fun. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I'm dying at this, and also I would like to note that the lady in the lake just gave me a look walking in. Oh God, that is super taped on there. There's a very large chicken from the lady of the lake. That's a cock. Apparently, I have been corrected. The lady of the lake is now showing her cock off.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So her challenge tonight, not a question, is tell a joke with a farm animal in them.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Sven, do you want to go first, or shall I do my terrible dad jokes?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
What do you call a three-legged cow? Tri-tip.
What?
I said call it tri-tip. What do you call a two-legged cow?
No idea.
Lean beef. What do you call a one-legged cow? Steak. What do you call a cow with no legs?
Ground beef.
Yep. What do you call a cow with four legs?
Cow.
Fucking cow. Outdo that.
Having grown up on a farm, I don't have a lot of funny animal stories. They're all terrible ranch stories.
I would like to note we have one from Hevek, just so you know.
Oh, excellent.
What do you call a cow that just gave birth?
Moo cow.
Decaffeinated.
Oh. I got a drink for that. I don't have any jokes that involve farm animals. I can't. I lose this challenge, so I'll drink to that.
They're not safe for this show.
Yeah, I'm the guy that just talked about the genital game, so I think that's anything I say is pretty much safe from here on out.
No.
So Sven, I'm still waiting for your farm animal joke.
I don't have any good farm animal jokes. Having grown up on a ranch, everything is like terrible ranchy jokes. No one wants to hear about all that wonderfulness. I can tell the ostrich story, but it's a little early for that. Not big drunk.
I was about to say we are not drunk enough yet for the ostrich story.
Enough for that.
Well, fine. You guys fail. You drink.
Sure, yo, Grace.
Oh, double dipping, I see.
Allegedly.
Oh my God, the farm puns are coming out in the comments, just so y'all know. Okay, this next one comes from Anonymous again. What flavor Jello shot is the correct flavor and why?
I can't fucking taste. They all taste the same to me, cold.
This is the reason why it was a flavor, because like when you listen to three favorite flavors, I was like,
yeah.
Cold is not a flavor.
It fucking is when you can't taste very well. You have a broken orbital bone and 2 facial surgeries. Cold is a wonderful fucking flavor. I can't taste sweet stuff on my tongue at all, like just at the very back edges of my tongue. So when I would know till I swallowed the jello shot, even close to what flavor it was. Cold. 100%.
Okay, so you don't want no lukewarm jello shots for you. They got to be cold.
No, because then it's just like a viscous, like you took a shot in your mouth. You don't know what it is. You're like, this could be anything because it makes you real textury. Then you're like, was that a jello shot? Fucking tastes the same. You get real sketchy about what you put in your mouth. Like, I'm not sure what that is. Like, I can't fucking smell or taste it. So I'm gonna have to say nope.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I actually have a tear out my eye. I've been laughing so hard. You gotta fuck up my makeup. Yo, Grace.
100% truth. You can't taste. You're like you become a lot more texture driven. You're like, what's that? I'm like, I don't know. It's super hot though.
It's lukewarm. I don't like that flavor.
Yep.
All right, Bela.
I think the correct answer for the best flavor of jello shot is yes. They're all good. There are no bad jello shots. They're all tasty. But if push comes to shove, I'll take anything that looks remotely kind of red or pinkish. Those are the ones that I'll go for first.
I have a small jello shot story for you. So when myself and Leaf got divorced, we got divorced almost like within a week of each other. We went to a big Amtgard event together. And my now wife, she does a big jello shot party there. And so we convinced ourselves that we're going to do 21 jello shots because in Amtgard, you win this many bouts in a row, you're a warlord. So we're going to warlord up on these jello shots. So we made it to like 19. And they break the cardinal rule. There's too much alcohol in them, so they're warm and viscous. And so we both decided that 19 is plenty. We both pass out like under some chairs and some different things. And so that's where that story comes from. You're like, I'm not sure that was a jello shot. Let's just call it there before we throw up whatever that orange. It was orange flavor that was. So a warm orange jello shot, hard to drink. Imagine like warm Tang right in your mouth, but like super thick. That's what you want.
No thanks.
I only have NC-17 comments to make about this entire conversation right now.
That is why I said cold.
I was about to say, and warm, thick Tang is actually probably one of the best descriptors of the other thing on my mind that I have ever heard.
Yep.
And
That's
so,
what we're like. We're done. 19.
yeah, I'm like, whoa, hey. Getting too real there, Yo Grace. Oh man. So I'm gonna go with the sour apple with vodka. Like one of the best, or the blue raspberry with vodka. Like that's super good and will get you fucked up hardcore real quick. Also, though, I'm a lightweight, so that's pretty easy. So are we ready for the next question before I crack a rib laughing so hard?
I'm ready.
It's your question.
Okay. Oh man, another name I'm going to just butcher. I apologize. This question comes from Andromacha to Lesvos. And it is, what was your awkwardest court moment?
I don't do well in courts as a whole. I have a hard time projecting my voice because of my busted up sinuses. When I project real bad, it makes me real nasally and it makes me sneeze, right? So as a whole, I don't do a lot of talking in court. I always feel like there's always dead points and awkward. You're forever, for me, trying not to sound ridiculous, especially if someone records you. You just sound stupid. The best moment in court for us is we got to bring in the MOD to the SCA, and we made it through our whole reign and announce those people we didn't get lynched or any of that stuff. So I was super thrilled with how that went off. It was super sketchy with the I think 112 white scarves we had at the time, that none of them took us out back and killed us. So we were super happy to make it through that rain, and it has prospered since then. But the announcement was definitely, how was it going to go over in an established community? You're like, well, we didn't get killed, so I'm pretty happy with how that went, honey bear. That's mine.
So I was in East Court and they mic you. So you know how like you're like you do all the snark back and forth. So I'm visiting royalty.
That's a terrible decision.
That is a terrible decision to fucking mic me anytime. I would like to note, like, don't fucking put me in front of a mic and not expect me to drop an F-bomb. And they tell you like, hey, we need to make sure this is kid friendly and everything else like that. And the mics are sitting on the floor in front of you, so it's not like it's clipped to you. So you have that little reminder. There's just a fucking mic pointed at you that's turned way the hell up. And so I kept getting the tap tap tap. Your Majesty, they can hear you. Like, I should probably stop hitting on the other queen then. Fuck.
Right.
All right, moving on. I'm just gonna sit here and drink now. Like, and so I sat there in court like this to try to remind myself to be like, there's a mic there. There's a mic there.
Yeah.
There's a mic there. But the other most awkward court moment ever is, you know how you like when you travel, you eat terribly. I 100% ripped an epic fart on the throne at one point. Just there was no stopping it. I thought it was going to eke out, you know, where you do like that little subtle lean with your hip and you're just like, this is just going to eke out here. There's a pillow underneath me. This will save me. Nope. There was no saving what happened there. It sounded like somebody trying to kill an elephant off. And then I just had to sit there continuing to be regal and doing what I was doing as queen. So yeah, that would probably be my most awkward court moment, especially since my head of court was dying behind me. Like, I could just hear her stifling the laughter. Like, she was just choking on herself not to die laughing.
That's when you got to look behind you, be like, which one of y'all did that?
Had I had the presence of mind not to just want to curl up into a ball and disappear at that moment in time, I would have.
You didn't have a guard assigned to take that blame for you?
I mean, that would have been smart.
See? Always thinking. My turn to answer?
Yep.
Okay, so here we go, boys and girls. You're about to learn why you never give a pirate an award. So it's the summer of 2002. It's my first reign. I've been a peer for 6 months. I've been king for 1 week. Right? I'm the baby knight of the Outlands and king. And we go to Grand Outlandish, which at the time was probably the biggest event in our kingdom. My queen and I had decided ahead of time that there was this awesome guy in Alberon named Gunnar the Pirate. He's very kind of fringy, but he made all kinds of really cool, amazing things, and he was super excited about them, and he would always show them to people and pass his knowledge on. And usually, you know, probably about 80% of the things he made, he gifted to somebody. Right. So he would make it, he would take it to an event, he would show it off, and then he would find somebody and he would give it to him. So my queen and I decided that we were going to make him a Flower of the Outlands, which is our grant level arts and sciences award. And at this Grand Outlandish, Duke Aaron Graves from Adenvelt was king of Adenvelt, and he was visiting Outlandish. So I don't know if you guys know Aaron at all. He's an amazing potter. He's an amazing badass fighter, but he's like 6'12". He's like a gigantor, right? He's huge. He's left-handed. He can hit you from 40 yards away, and you don't even know what's happening. And so I knew who he was, but I didn't really had a chance to know him. So like I met him like 20 minutes before the big court at Outlandish. So court's going along, things are going well. We had some shtick, it went well. It gets to the point where we're giving Gunnar the Pirate his flower. So we call him forward. We say nice things. We talk about how amazing he is and how generous he is. And we give him this grant level award. And the scribe who created the scroll made this really badass, like, pirate treasure map of a scroll. And it was like probably one of the coolest scrolls I've ever seen in my life. It's to this day top 10 badass scroll. And so we give the award. The herald is reading the scroll, and Gunner's sitting there kind of blown away. And I'm like, yeah, we did something badass. And he kind of stands up and he leans into my queen, and she leans in, and he gives her a big hug. I'm like, okay, cool. He's right on. He's excited about this. He's showing some love. And then like 30 seconds later, he like leans in towards me, and I'm like, oh, he wants to say thank you. So I lean in so I can hear him, and so he doesn't have to talk loud over the herald. And as I'm leaning in, he reaches out and grabs me by the head and pulls me forward and plants a huge kiss right on the mouth. And as soon as he steps aside, you know, I scream for the guards. I grab my mug. I'm spitting stuff out. I'm drinking my mug, and I look over, and this is His Majesty of Adenveld's expression to me in this moment. Right? So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm fumbling. I'm like making jokes. People are laughing, and he's escorted out. And so I spend like the rest of the court, you know, like spitting stuff out, take a drink, spit out, like I'm playing it up, right? After court ends, we have dinner. I go to the drum circle. The drummers are playing. I get there, and His Majesty of Adenveld is already seated by the drummers, and he's got some attendants around him, but there's an open seat next to him. So I go and I sit down. We're, you know, sitting there, and I'm sitting there maybe a minute. And he kind of, you know, gives me the, until I look at him, and I look over at him. He goes, you know, you handled that kiss thing way better than I would have. So I don't know Aaron for shit at this moment. I'm like, is that sincere? Does he mean that? Or is that like a backhanded compliment? Like, what the fuck just happened? Right? And so I have taken it upon myself to tell anybody that will listen, never fucking give a pirate an award. It's not worth it.
All right. So we actually have somebody asking in the audience, who was the scribe that did the scroll?
I honestly, I'm mad at myself because I can't remember. I thought that was going to be asked. I want to say it was Mistress Amanya Murray before she was a Laurel, but I could be wrong. I will do some research and try and get that answer so that your audience can find out later. I'll get it on the Discord. But yeah, it is an amazing scroll.
Yeah. All right. So we are down to the last two chosen questions before we hit the audience submitted questions for the show. Do we want to do a commercial now, or do we want to do one more question?
Let's do another question.
All right. Sven, this one is specifically for you, just so you know.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. I've been drinking. This will be great.
This one's from Lady K. What is the craziest story you can tell on camera?
Craziest what?
What is the craziest story you can tell on camera?
Probably the ostrich story.
So do you want to do the ostrich story on camera, or do you want to do it as like the end of the show?
We'll close the show with it. It's
all right, we're gonna close the show with the ostrich story. So what is your second craziest story that you can tell on camera? And also, I would like to note, allegedly, about the ostrich.
Crazy story I can tell on camera. So many stories that I don't want recorded.
See, this is the catch up.
Yeah, you're like, that's a bad story. That's a bad story. It's a bad story. I might have to think about that. It's like what that's. You heard some of my stories at Estrella. I don't know that I want some of those recorded.
All right, so Bela, do you want to go first while he fishes through the story that he can tell on camera?
Sure. This will take a little while, but okay. So I'm kind of internationally infamous for a little thing called victory laps.
I knew that was a story you're gonna go with. That's actually.
And so I will go with the story of the original victory laps. I used to be part of a household called the Huns, and every year at Estrella War, we would have a competition to decide who the new Khan of the household was, and that person would be the leader of the household for the next year. This competition was 3 parts, and they were equal. One was a round robin heavy weapons tournament where you fight and whoever had the best wins gets 1 point, right? So at the end of the competition, the guy with the least amount of points is the winner, and the guy with the most amount of points is the absolute loser and got what we call the yak sack. And you'll understand why in a minute. Part 2 of the competition was a combat archery competition where the outgoing Khan was the target, and we each took turns shooting him. You got so many points for the head, so many points for the cup, so many points for an arm or leg, same thing. And the third part, which was the spectator sport of the competition, was a drinking contest. And we had a mug that held 36 ounces of alcohol. Most guys drank beer. I can't drink beer. So it had to be an alcoholic beverage that was also carbonated. I always drank Jack Daniels and Mountain Dew. But the point was you'd fill it up, and they would give you a countdown, and then you would drink. And the fastest time wins. So we were doing the drinking portion of the competition, and spectators had gathered around, and it's drunk 30 out, and we're having the competition. And 2 of my squires were participating in the competition, I think for the first time, actually. And, as people would go and put a time down, there was a lot of smack talking and a lot of back and forth. And Duke Hogarden from the Outlands, who now lives in Osceola, was hanging out, and he was watching. And we're instigating the smack talking. And squires started making bets. And they ended up betting Sir Assad, who, if you don't know Sir Assad, he's the guy that introduced the Madhu to the society. He's all about shenanigans and messing with people. And at the time, like, you look at Assad, he looks like he's like 80. This was a long time ago. He looked 80 then, right? He's old guy, big turban. And he's watching, and he's egging the squires on. He's smack talking with them. And he's like, I bet you I can drink faster than that. And these idiot squires took him up on his bet. But Assad couldn't drink alcohol, so he just drank like Sprite or something like that. And he put down a time of like 10 seconds for 36 ounces of Sprite. And so then they had to beat his time or lose the bet. And I don't even really remember what the original bet was. They couldn't do it at all. So they roped a third squire in who was just there watching into helping them. And he became part of their triumvirate. And they decided early on in the betting that if one of them said yes, that meant all of them said yes. They decided it, not me. It's their fault, right? So the night goes on. They lose the bet to Assad. So then they're trying to find other people. And it just keeps, like, you know how you see a snowball of like bad decisions happen over and over and over, and it just gets worse and worse and worse? This is exactly what happened. So through the course of like an hour and a half of smack talking and horrible bets, they lose. And what they had ended up having to do because they lost was the 3 of them had, and this was at Estrella, they had to sleep in my armor tent that one of them had left unzipped all day, and it rained all day. So my armor tent was now a detention pond, right? So the 3 of them had to sleep in my detention pond armor tent, naked, tied together with 1 blanket and 1 pillow between them, right? That's what they had agreed to through 2 hours of betting and losing. Because every time they lost, the bet got worse. So even in my inebriated state, I realized hypothermia is very probable, and one of these guys might really die. So I've got to give them a suitable way out that is embarrassing and will teach them a lesson. So Hogard and I go to my squire Kujin, and we say, here's the deal, bro. You can either sleep in my armor tent with these two other guys naked, tied together, one blanket, one pillow, or we can go out to the battlefield and you can strip down to your belts and your boots and you can do a lap around the battlefield. And Kujin went, fuck that, I'm sleeping in the tent. And Hogarden was sad. And I went, it's okay, bro. I got this. And so we went to squire number 2, my squire Ulrich. And we said, Ulrich, you can either sleep in my armor tent, naked, tied to your squire brothers, one blanket, one pillow, or strip down to your belts and your boots, do a lap around the back of the battlefield. And Ulrich says, yeah, I'm sleeping in that fucking tent. And Hogarden shed one tear. No, man. It's cool. I got this. So we're looking around for squire number 3, who wasn't my squire. He was squire to Sir Vladimir. His name is O'Brien. And we couldn't find him. So we finally go out to the battlefield. And right next to the battlefield, the West Kingdom was throwing the known world party that night. And I look, and there's O'Brien in the party. And so we go wading through the sea of people to find O'Brien, who was trying to find anyone who could possibly get him out of this bet, right? He's doing whatever he can think of. And I go to O'Brien and I say, hey, Obi, here's the deal, bro. You can either sleep in my armor tent, naked, tied to these two other dudes, one blanket, one pillow, or you can strip down to your belts and your boots and do one lap around the battlefield. I didn't even finish the sentence. He started taking his tunic off. Right? So that meant they all had to do it because one of them said yes. So we go 30 feet from the party to where the battlefield was and inform the other 2 squires the great news, which they didn't like. So O'Brien strips down and starts sauntering around the battlefield. Ulrich strips down to his belts and his boots, and I swear to God, he set a fucking land speed record. It was like a white blur around the battlefield, and he was back and getting his shit back on. Kujin, however, thought it was bullshit, so he took like 15 minutes to argue with me about whether he had to do it or not before he finally went, all right, fuck it. So he strips down, and he starts going and makes it about 15 feet. Where 2 ladies sitting on a hay bale stop him. And they just start having a conversation.
Wait.
So
Hang on, Briggs. He is having a conversation with them in his belt and his boots.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Because he happened to go by them and they said something to him, so he stopped and went over and had a conversation. Okay? So we're freaking out. We're like, what the fuck's happening? I don't know. Should we save him? I don't know. Let's see what happens, right? So they have like a 2 to 3 minute conversation, and then he continues. About 10 minutes later, we're still sitting there going, where the fuck is he? Like, I can walk around this battlefield in 10 minutes. Like, he should be coming back anytime now, right? Should we send a search party? Like, what do we do? Like, did he get arrested? Like, what the fuck? So he finally comes walking up with 2 cold beers, 1 in each hand. And I'm like, Kujin, where'd you get the beers, bro? So pretty much on the opposite side of the battlefield from where we were was the known world rapier party that was happening. And apparently, Kujin decided to walk into the party. And the first person he ran into went, what's up, buddy? And Kujin said, my knight's a dick. And the good rapier fighter said, yes, he is. Here's a beer. Would you like another for your journey? Because you have to leave now. And so they gave him a couple beers and he sauntered back. So that was the very first ever victory lap.
I just like that he was just brass balled enough to be like, one, I'm going to talk to these two chicks, then I'm going to go get a beer, and then I'm going to show back up. Is that just the ultimate, like...
So quick addendum, right? Like 10 years later, I'm at Estrella, and I hear Duchess Nichelle of Aidenvelt telling this story about how one time at Estrella, she's hanging out with her pal on this hay bale, and naked dude just comes walking up. And so she stops him to ask him, hey, bro, come here a minute. And so from Her Grace's point of view, I'll drink to that. She relayed to me that what she did was she called him over and went, so what's that favor on your belt for? And then he would go, oh, well, this is my warriors of Unserhofen, the barony that I'm from. This means that I'm a badass warrior. That's what this is. And she goes, cool. What's that other thing on your belt there? And he went, oh, that's my Stag's Blood. My AOA level fighting award from the Kingdom of the Outlands means I'm a badass fighter. And she went, oh, cool. Well, what's that favor on your belt there? And he's, oh, well, this is from my lady. She thinks I'm pretty awesome. She made me this cool ass favor, right? It's pretty cool, right? And she's like, you're right. That's pretty cool. What I really like to know about is that thing there in the middle. What's that? And it was at that point that Kujin was like, fuck this. I'm out, and continued his journey.
I mean, was that about like she was asking for that warm jello shot time?
Something. But so she tells me the story, and I go, so I got to tell you, I'm the guy that made that happen. And she went, shut the fuck up. You are not. I'm like, no, really. I made that shit happen. And we hugged and laughed it out. And then the rest is history. Oh, by the way, jello shot time.
Oh my, you have jello shots?
Mm-hmm.
I hate you so much right now.
Right.
So, Yo Grace, do you have your story for this?
I do have a story. So lucky for me.
Also, you totally need a drink.
I did most of my youthful craziness long before I joined the STA. I joined at a much later age. But in my Amtgard years, I definitely did a bunch of dumb stuff. And so this is a story about the first time we went to Cloudcroft, New Mexico, which is about just over 8,000 feet above sea level, like right there. And so we're a bunch of Texas boys, big rednecks, before I was really certified like you see now, right? We buy a bunch of alcohol and not much food like young people do, and we go up there on top of the mountain. And the first night we're there, we're camped at the bottom of the campsite. There are 44 campsites. It's about a mile walk up the hill, on the side of this mountain. We buy 1 gallon of Crown Royal and 1 2-liter of Coke. You'll see the problem with this math very quickly. So as we get about 100 feet from the camp, we realize we're pretty much out of Coke, and we have never really had Crown Royal straight before, but we try it. We're like, it's actually pretty fucking delicious, as it turns out. And so we commenced this.
Can confirm.
We commenced to drink this gallon jug of Crown Royal straight all the way up the side of the campsite. It's quite a bit of elevation change on the way to where we're camping with our friends up there. We get to the top of the campsites, 30 minutes later walking, and they are serving pickles, chili, and some other miscellaneous stuff, which to a drunk person sounds amazing because you're obviously hungry, right? So we all have chili and pickles and all these wonderful things, and we walk back down and around. And a couple campsites were well known for making big, large mixed drinks. They take a 50-gallon drum and they pour a bunch of stuff into it, a little punch. Well, we're drinking this Crown, and we get down there. We want to put other alcohol in it, but it's just got a little bit left in the bottom of this jug, right? So my buddy, he tells me to just finish it off, and in my mind, I was like, no problem. But you don't realize how much volume is in the bottom of a gallon jug of Crown Royal. So I take it upon myself to finish that off, and I definitely end up throwing that up later. You know, I polished it off, and now runs out my nose and everything, and I throw up a lot. We get some other stuff. They take me back to camp. It's been like an hour, maybe. I'm too drunk to walk. I hit every white car on the way back down to our campsite. And I don't know if you've been to a lot of these mountainside campsites. There are recessed camps off the road. You gotta go down into your campsite. When you're drunk, it looks like a fucking goat trail. You know, you're like looking over the edge. You're like, I don't know if I can make it down there. That's about a 15-foot elevation change. So I have my friend Jenny. She's probably 85, 90 pounds, good friend of mine's wife, come over and look at the edge. Like, hey, how can we make that down there without rolling my fat ass down this edge? So when she looked over the edge and got that first stone, I jumped on her back. And I rode her down this fucking hill because that's obviously what you do, because it was safer to ride her than it was for me to walk down this motherfucker, right? So we're like, we make it all the way down. We roll over to the edge of my tent. She's cussing me and kicking me like, you drunk motherfucker. She helps me in this tent. You know, me and my two buddies, we're staying in my giant ass tent. She helps me get all my garb and everything off, gets me in the tent. Super, super drunk, like world spinning, you know, just like laying there in my tent. She goes to fetch my buddy Jay, who's been drinking this whole time. They had found another campsite. She brought him back. He's super drunk. I was considered sober for how drunk he was. We all ended up alcohol poisoning after it was all over. That's a separate tale. But I'm sitting there. He's a military man. He's sitting there and he's like, I've got to throw up. I was like, well, fucking get out of the tent and do it. You know, so he does his little ninja roll, like yaks forward and commits to throwing up. But he's so drunk, he can't hold his head up. So he needs help. So I do him the favor. I crawl over and I grab his little hair and I pull him up. And I'm letting him throw up. You know, like just getting down. I'm like, God, this is awful. You know, like hold my buddies. I'm super spinny and I'm doing okay until like as he throws up, like he turns to me and he's like, thanks, man. Like just right in my face, like just to let me know his appreciation. So of course, I throw up everywhere. You know, like this pickles and this chili and all this stuff. Of course, there's friends outside your tent. They're all watching like, ah, ha, ha, ha. So my big buddy Patrick, he's about 6'6". His drunk ass comes rolling up. He's been drinking this whole time, and he sees them all fucking piled around, laughing like it's funny. So he gets one of our pole arms, like they're all funny, and he commits to just wailing on these people in the fucking dark with his Amtgard weapon. It's made from a pole vaulting cord, and it's beating them up. And like his second strike goes right through all this puke, and is beating these people across this field like the little raptor scene because all the grass is like this high. And you just hear him yelling, I've got the flank, you buddy bastards. Just beating them to death across this field. We're both super drunk, throwing up. Nobody thinks it's funny anymore. You hear him running around for a little bit. His drunk ass loses them all. He comes back. He's arguing with my friend Jenny and my friend Frank about the reason it took him so long to get back. He was lost. He obviously knew the way and couldn't find it. They get him back into the tent, and they're trying to help him undress, you know, like at the edge of the tent. They're all jerking on him. He's like, stop trying to take my shoes off. I'm going to throw up, you know. And so eventually they're trying to help him, and he just kicks the two of them like back out of the tent, like you're gonna make me throw up. So he's like, well, fuck your drunk ass. So he passes out in the doorway of our tent, like pant leg on, one boot, you know, like obviously gets frost on in the middle of the night. I wake up because I'm the most sober one because I've done the most throwing up early, and we had some good Gatorade there, you know. It's like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Waking up and drinking all this Gatorade, like, just sweating. Just straight sweating out all this terrible liquor that we drank before. And my buddy Jay, he wakes up. All his Gatorade stuff we're drinking is Patrick's. He left it. We drank all his stuff to make us feel good. We roll over to the edge. He gets up. He's still drunk. He can't find any of his alcohol. He runs up to the top of the hill to go piss. Runs into a bear while he's up there. Finds him a bear cub. We're just drunk ass running back down, no pants on from this bear. It gets even better. Cussing us, of course. So they decide between Jay and Patrick that they want some food. They're like, let's go get some food. We are super drunk. They asked me, do I want to go? I was like, I can lick my skin and taste all the alcohol. I'm like, I don't want to ride in the car. This would be terrible. So they get my buddy Jay. They decide he's the most sober, and Patrick's big ass is going to ride in the passenger seat. So they're rolling down the edge of Cloudcroft back up go down to Alamogordo. And the whole way down the deal, my buddy Patrick, slow down. You're driving too fast. Slow down. You're driving too fast. And as they clear the edge of the park, as you clear the state park, there's a place you can camp and have like nice picnics there. So there's a nice family right there. You can see them as they roll by. My buddy Patrick, he throws up everywhere out there. Just sick as can be. Just awful, drunk sick. The little group's dog, they come run over, they get him some, and they manage rolling. He's like, I'm so sorry. So they drive their drunk ass down to Alamogordo. And their infant wisdom, they decide they want Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's what they want to make all this better. So they drive to Kentucky Fried Chicken to get some food. My buddy Patrick, he gets his food. He's just feeling terrible and throw up. My buddy Jay, little old Jay, he's like 5'4". He gets his food, and when they give him his food, I guess they put some baked beans on there. And old Jay, he didn't want baked beans. He had baked beans the night before. And so as this lady hands him his baked beans, he slaps it out of her hands like, bitch, I didn't want no fucking baked beans, And I was like, oh, you guys are all getting arrested, It's like, I'm so sorry, sir. So I gave him a new plate. They run their drunk ass back to their car because they realized he just slapped some beans out of some restaurant lady's house and back up to the camp where they both pass out for 5 days from alcohol poisoning. We all got alcohol poisoning, and that's why I don't drink Crown Royal anymore. I don't drink at altitude hardly anymore. It's a terrible experience. I love.
So, Check, we need to get you to Battlemore and drinking with us.
I've done it. I drank Crown Royal exclusively for years, and after getting alcohol poisoning, it was over 15 years before I drank it again. And I was the least worried of all of us. Myself and two of my really good friends got alcohol poisoning at 8,000 feet above sea level. I learned a valuable lesson. At altitude, you can't drink a lot.
that kind of sounds like a typical Battlemore where all the Flatlanders learn that altitude will fuck you up.
Oh, yeah, I knew it. When I went to the first Battlemore I went to, I ran around looking for all the air, like it had to be on the other side of the field because we didn't have any with us. So we were like, maybe Baylor was hiding it. We didn't have any.
Nice. So I'm not allowed to tell the cock blocking my best friend story publicly on camera. So at some point, Sven, you have to ask me that in person, and I will tell you about cock blocking my best friend after he paid for gate and the flight to Penzik. 100% stole that chick. I'm trying to think of like another story because last week I already told the story of ripping my friend's pectoral muscles off his chest. Blackout fucking drunk. And so what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to tell the piece together story of how a Thanric and I became friends. So I was still an unbelt, and I would like to note that I just heard my husband snicker over in the corner. Because there's about 2 hours of both a Thanric's and I's memory that is gone at the same time. And so other people had to fill this in. And so we're drinking at the tavern at a Great Western War. And we are both drinking to deal with our stress level while also fangirling on each other. I'm still a square at this point. Thanric and I had just thrown down on the pickup field. He's like, fuck you, you should be a knight. And I'm like, fuck you, I should not be. And then it was going from there. But we are drinking straight tequila. Like literally we have a bottle of tequila between the two of us. And if you haven't met a Thanric is a silverback gorilla in a human body and about the same personality. Also, I love this dude to death. Like, I love my pickup fights with him. I will personally go find him every year to fight him and then hang out with him. And so both him and I are proceeding to murder this bottle of tequila. And about this point, we have been kicked out of the tavern. We have been security has removed us at this point in time, and a Thanric squares off on me. And my survival brain at this point in time is gone. Like, I would like to note that tequila and me equal fist fights and wrestling matches. And so this dude that outweighs me by like an order of magnitude,
all the weight,
all the weight and all the skill squares off on me, and I fucking suck him in front of like 3 other people, and they're just like, oh my god. And he stands up and goes, okay, little girl, and it is on. My friend has a dent in the side of his van that is my face. I would like to note that that little dent in the side of his van is 100% my face, where he just literally grabbed me by the side of the head and put me into the van. And then apparently I bounced back up and was like, bring it the fuck on, old man. And this is how our friendship started. So we continued drinking tequila because that exchange happened. And then we turned into that lovey-dovey, like, people where everybody else was just like, we're the fuck out. Like, we're out of this situation at this point in time because the two psychos are in their like friendship mating dance. We're not sure what's going on here, but the two psychos have decided that they are now friends, and there's enough alcohol involved that we're not sure that we can stop the violence that is going to occur. And so we're in the process of like making friendship at high velocity. Everybody else is scattered. And I would like to note at about the point that Athanarch put my face into the side of the van, my husband shows up on site. So he is 100% sober and sees this very large man take his very small wife and just plant her into the side of a van. Like, and there's no like ting sound where you like bounce off the side of the thing. There is just my face and that van absorbed each other. And then somebody snagged him to say, hey, that's the weird drunk tequila friendship mating dance that's going on. Don't get involved. Like, no, they're fine. Come here. Like, you just need to not watch this happen. I do not remember the next 2 hours of my life. Like, my friends have filled this in for me. They filled it in for Athanarch later. However, I do remember, so I have no memory of this place whatsoever. And the next morning I'm out on field. I wake up with zero hangover. I wake up just like, cool, whatever. Like, eat my breakfast, put on my armor, go on the field. And then I have every Kaid knight coming to find me because he's crown prince at the time. Every Kaid knight is coming over and be like, hey, we're going to fight later. Like, okay. I'm still like Joe Schmo, nobody unbelt at this moment in time. Like, and then like the next person comes over, we're fucking fighting later. And they would just walk off. And I'm like, what happened last night? Nobody has filled me in at this point. Like, the world's a blank. I have no idea what's going on. Everything else like that. And so I find out later when pickups start and I have the giant line that I need to go deal with, that apparently Athanarch woke up in the morning hanging onto his head, just puking onto the ground. And all he would say is avenge me and then my name. And so this is how our entire friendship started, is the fact that apparently I got him so trashed on tequila, but I woke up the next morning with no hangover. So he was sitting there in camp just puking, and then he would yell, avenge me! And they'd be like, about what? He'd just say, Helga! And so, yeah, that would be the story that I can tell on camera, is that's how our friendship started. And I still drink tequila to this day. So shall we go to do we want to go to commercials or the next question?
Whatever you guys want.
It's your show, man. It's your show. We're just guests.
You're co-host. You get a vote in this.
I don't even get a half a vote. I'm just like, I'm part-timer.
Yeah. So Baby Ninja, why don't you kick us over to that? We'll go to the bonus question, then we'll go to questions from the audience.
Strongford Arts makes Celtic, Anglo-Saxon, and Viking jewelry and metalcraft, forged from bronze or fine silver using traditional methods and tools. Items are based on extant examples found in museums and private collections. Roybird McNeil also teaches the methods he uses in making his art via live feed on his Facebook page at facebook.com/StrongfordArt. Treat yourself and shop at strongfordltd.etsy.com.
Two Baronesses is your home for buttons, brooches, pins, winnengas and hooks, mittens, scarves, and custom appliqued heraldic tabards and gonfalons. You can even buy buttons in bulk for large projects, perfect for the cotehardy or household livery. You can find them online at badbaroness.com. That's badbaroness.com. Happy shopping!
Strongford Arts makes Celtic, Anglo-Saxon, and Viking jewelry and metal.
So, welcome back to Between Two Peers. And so, we're going to take a brief moment and say that we are congratulating the winners of Lochak Crown, which are their Royal Highnesses Roland and Taltuya.
Well said.
I tried, okay? So Lochak held their crown today. It was live streamed. Go check it out. It's still up. The fighting was amazing. There was 11 fighters. It was best 2 out of 3 in double elimination tournament. It was a super fun watch. I was trying to watch it between prepping for the show today. And so we just want to congratulate those in Lochak for their win. I'm super excited they're in a place where they can continue playing and continuing with the SCA because they figured out COVID, unlike the US. And there's my one political statement for the evening. And then beyond that, while we're waiting for our amazing guest to come back, I'm going to say, hey, you viewers out there, if you're watching, remember it's likes for doggo treats. So please, or cat treats. So please remember to like, hit the like button on the show, leave comments later on the show. Those mean a lot to all of us here at Between Two Peers and our guest hosts, because, well, it's a fantastic little ego stroke. So huzzah to the winners of Lochak Crown. We're very, very excited about the FCA continuing in that kingdom. So, Sven, do you feel better now, or lighter and ready to roll?
Yeah, I had to go. Got to go fetch the doggy too. He was being a little needy.
So one of the things, Sven, I don't know if you have seen the show since we have started likes for dog treats. So for every 10 likes, one of us provides a dog treat for your dog.
Perfect one. Come here, get up there. He's almost there.
Also, everybody note, drink, because somebody's pet showed up on camera.
That's Bowser.
Yeah.
My 6-month-old boxer.
Aw. All right, so we ready to keep rolling?
Yep.
Boy, get down. Get down. All the pets later.
So good.
Okay, the first bonus question. When have you been totally distracted by décolletage in an SCA?
Décolletage.
Did you
Sorry.
swallow it for me?
Okay, I'm going to spell décolletage real quick, but you have to look at your camera or your wife, one of the two. Décolletage is this.
I see what you did there. I'm still not sure what the question means.
When in the SCA have you been distracted by tits?
I'm just here to fight. I'm just a jock. It's like I have a good time. My wife will tell you the first thing I introduce myself when I meet people is like, "Have you met my wife?" It's like I don't pay any attention to it whatsoever. I'm here to have a good time, teach, and fight. And just something I ignore. I didn't have that stupid stuff when I was younger.
Well, since I've been in the SCA since being younger, and also boobs are fantastic. 100%. I lost my line giving an AOA because this chick was just endowed. And very much so like the newcomer in the Renaissance corset, just tits to here, that when I looked down, I was just like, I lost my line for a moment and my herald rescued me. Like my herald was like, hey, you terrible horny bitch. Like, next line. And just that person and I are now friends, and I have told her this, where I'm just like, hey, by the way, your boobs 100% distracted me while I was giving you your AOA. But yeah, I need to own that happened. And we now laugh and drink over it.
Is it my turn now?
Yep.
So during my first reign, I guess we have to drink because of that or something.
No, we actually got rid of that show. We got
Oh,
rid of
okay.
that rule like 4 shows ago. But you can still drink because you drunk is hilarious.
I'll drink to that. During my first reign, we gave an award. I honestly don't even remember what the award was. I think it was an Argent Heart, our AOA level Arts and Sciences Award. And this young lady came forward and knelt in front of us, and she's wearing late period, and just everything's on display, right? And I stand up and I'm looking at the audience and I'm saying my nice things about her, and I'm doing great. And then I glance down, and I'm pretty sure I saw her belly button, and so I lost all train of thought. And I had no idea who I was, where I was, what I should be saying. And so I looked at my queen with this help me look, right? And so she took over. And then I collected myself, and then, we gave the award out. But there have been lots of times, I have very good peripheral vision. When I'm fighting, I'm looking at your eyes, but I'm watching your feet with my peripheral. And not this reign, but the reign before, we had a young lady on our retinue who was a lady in waiting who was very well endowed and very beautiful young lady. And we were at an event, and there was fighting happening outside. And so we had the thrones outside, and I'm sitting in the thrones, and this good lady in waiting is sitting at my feet, trying to make sure that we're taken care of because she's on duty. And she keeps leaning back and looking at me like this. And I'm doing everything I can to not look down, because I know if I look down, it's over. I'm done for. And so I looked at my queen and went, this is something that's got to happen. And she just laughed and let it happen. So that's the help I get. So, yeah.
So I've got to or not interrupt, but I'm just going to add to and say the amount of cleavage photos that I just got sent over this, winning. Absolutely winning. All of you out there that have just sent me those, thank you very much. You are gods in my universe.
The next event,
guest host, I don't get to share in that?
Unless I send them to you.
Damn it.
The next event we're at, Grace, you should ask me to tell the Pancho and Lefty story.
Is that one that can't be told on camera?
Absolutely.
All right. So with that, we're at an hour and a half, and we are into guest submitted or chat submitted questions. So are you ready to roll through these?
Absolutely.
All right. So the first one I'm going to ask is, this one comes from Robin of Sherwood. How would you describe your teaching style?
Abrupt and very demanding and disciplined. All my squires will tell you, all these people have all these things they want, and what I want my guys to do is what I fucking tell them to do. Like, if you'll trust in the system, the system will work for you. I am not the easiest guy to work with, but you'll have faith that the system works for you. Most of your guys will tell you I'm very disciplinary. I have a hard approach to how we do things, very structured, more like a traditional dojo or a martial arts approach. And a lot of my older friends will tell you I'm super good at two things, teaching or burning people out, because a lot of people, when they ask to be taught, they don't understand what they're asking for. They have this idea of what they want, and then that fire hose method just drowns them. They don't do well with it. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at it, but it's a rough. If you want to be good, a lot of people don't understand what goes into being good, the amount of time and stuff, and it's rough, abrasive. I'm not here to build people up and make them feel good about themselves. That's my approach.
And it works. It very well works.
So Bela, how would you describe yours?
See, I'd like to say effective, because I think I'm pretty good at making stone cold killers of men. But then there's Zipser, who continually comes to me and is like, even now, as Crown Prince of Aiden will come to me and be like, Bela, I just learned this amazing thing. And he'll tell me this thing that he learned. And I'm like, oh, you mean that thing I've been telling you for a fucking decade? Cool, bro. Thanks. Makes me feel good.
You should hold Zipster against your teaching style, though. He's such a good guy. Just
he learns from everyone but me. I don't know what the hell it is. He'll come to me like, I learned this greatest thing. And I'm like, bitch, I told you that shit like 12 years ago when you were like 15. So fuck off. So yeah, but I think my system works with everyone else. I'm very much an attention to detail kind of guy, and a lot of my teaching doesn't really work as well for brand new guys because it's so minutia oriented and so detail oriented. But once everyone gets the basics, my system works for anyone if you're willing to put the time and effort in.
Yeah. You remind me a lot of my night, and it's what I found, and I know that's what Leaf found is what that person needs to be successful. You know, and I found you do really well with it.
Thank you, Helga.
So my answer is going to be ruthlessly honest while learning to be kind. So luckily, I was very spoiled. When I came into the FCA, I was in the process of learning how to teach people how to ride horses. And a horse or a mule will fantastically ditch you if you fuck up. And so I learned how to set my students up for success or failure. And so if a student butts me, I'll totally let you get bucked off. Like, you can meet that arena at high velocity. And so I'm the same way with my fighting. And so I will be ruthless, and I will tell you, hey, you weren't on blade, or like there's these things to approve, or anything else like that. But also I will be honest and kind in the fact that I can tell you that I still fuck up, that I still like am learning how to do this, and that I am a more articulate trainer than I am an effective fighter, which sucks, by the way. I just want to point that out, that I am a way better trainer than I am a fighter, which totally just blows.
I disagree entirely.
You and I can have an argument about that off screen.
I think a lot of that has to do with your upbringing. It's the same as mine. When you grow up teaching animals, you learn that repetition is a thing and that it works. And that I wish my students were as smart as some of the mules and horses that I taught growing up, various things. Yep. And it's just a matter of application of force and time.
Yep.
And that approach is successful. It works in most all things. And
I consider it pressure and release. Like, I'm gonna put pressure on you, and then as soon as you do the thing that like is even close to what I want, I'm gonna release that pressure for a little bit, and then we're gonna go back to it until we get you refined back down. And I use the same method with myself. And so where I can work with a broad range of students, I thrive with a certain set of students. So I thrive with students that are seeking knowledge, not just about the physical aspects of themselves, but about the mental aspects of themselves. In all things. And so my students really reflect that right now. Of they're all fighters that are trying to learn how to be knights, even if they are never going to be knighted. And those people feed me, and those people feed my fighting style, but also my training style of, look, you may not ever be, a 16th time Duke or anything else like that, but you're going to be goddamn good at what you do. So.
Right on.
Bela, it is your choice for the next question.
Did
you actually refresh it and get it to load all the way?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. This one comes from Mavis. When playing two stick, does one sword work more often as a shield?
No, I think it has a lot to do with how they approach you. How sword shield guys approach you. I usually fight left foot, left hand forward, and so as a whole, the majority of the people you fight are right-handed, and so you spend a lot of time your boxing jab and your quick leads are always going to be from your left hand dominant. But those are all setups for your quick 1-2s and everything. As a whole, your right is your cover hand for your frame and your body, and your left is your cover hand for your side and your leg. It's to me, it's like an A-frame with a shield. You have stuff you sword block and stuff you shield block. It's a dedicated approach that's hard to learn. And I tell, if you're good at A-frame sword and shield, you can learn two sword, but the problem is you have to learn how to hit with it and how to separate the body mentally. I spent a ton of time fighting left-handed, mainly because of my injury when I was younger, and so it helped me be able to do tasks left-handed without being right-hand dominant. Taking that dominance hand is something based on people's handedness. If they're right-handed, I'll fight them left-handed. If they're left-handed, I'll fight them right-handed. It's something that has to be taught, though. When you first get into it, yes, you are always going to be, you're going to have hand dominance. You're going to have trouble switching. It's something that I spent years learning. And as good as my left hand is, it's not my right. I wish it was as fucking good as my right hand, but it's not. It has things that excels at versus my dominant hand. And it's something I consistently work on. Some people are truly ambidextrous. There's so few in the world. Even myself, as much as I do with both hands, I tell everybody I'm right-handed. I wish I was ambidextrous. I wish I was left-handed. I'm not. You're always going to have tendencies and things you want to do. You just have to get out of the habit of it. It's just a learned process like anything else. It's like learning to brush your teeth and do other things. If you're manly, brushing your teeth right-handed, you can do that and not have any problems. But if you do it with your non-dominant hand, you're trying not to eat the toothbrush, and it's getting rid of that mental stuff, having to think about your non-dominant hand. That's the hardest. You're always going to have something you're going to work on, but once you're truly good at it, you're not going to have a dominant hand. You're going to be able to hit them with both hands at once. You're going to be good at single sword with either hand. It just takes 3, 4, 5 years to get there of actively working on sucking less with both hands. If that clears it up.
Well said.
Bela, do you wish to add to that?
No, I think he touched on pretty much. The only thing I would say is the answer for me is yes and no. I mean, you shouldn't have one hand that is predominantly blocking, but the reality is, as His Grace said, the majority of the people you're going to fight are right-handed. So the attacks are going to be coming from that side. So usually your left hand is going to block more than your right, just because of what their dominant hand is and what shots they throw a majority of the time. And it's not that you set it up that hand is blocking all the time. It's just that they're throwing to that side more often. So that side is blocking more often. So it's a yes and no answer, really, if you're doing it right.
So my answer is going to be the total shitty answer of every knight should be deadly with whatever they pick up. So for me, when I fight two stick, it's very much so that offhand sword ends up being my shield. I've got a mean left-handed flat snap and a pretty solid left-handed wrap, but my timing sucks on that side. It's very much so used to the defensive mindset, like left side defensive mindset, right side offensive mindset. And so I haven't developed past that yet, and I'm currently working on that, especially since I'm fighting with an injury right now. And so I hope that in the future it's better, but right now it's definitely that left-handed sword is nothing but a fucking shield unless I can throw a flat snap.
And like in foam, we tell people to train your hand dominance. We traditionally, because everybody's right, most people we found are right-handed, and so we teach people to use like an 18-inch dagger, very 24, something very short, and then a traditional sword in your left hand when you're working on two sword, because nothing looks dumber than you getting in position and opening with that little bitty dagger. You know, like, oh, that's a nice lead. You think you're gonna hit them with that, but it's just training. It's just something that you got to do over and over and over and over and over.
I'll just say, fight Hans with a dagger in his left hand, and that's fucking mean as shit. Like that's that's meaner than a damn bull stuck in a corner. Like, and now he's cackling over the corner. I don't know if my mic picked that up. It should have. He just cackled like something out of a fucking Disney villain movie.
And I will say, as a whole, single sword in the SCA is awful. Like it is, somebody gets hit in the head, somebody gets hit in the body. The person that got hit in the body loses, like hands down. Like you're like, that was terrible.
All right, so we ready for the next question?
Yes.
Because this one rolls really well into it. This one's from Magnus. What's the hardest you've ever been hit in the SCA, and by who?
It's by my Squire Ozar, trying to throw some finals fights to him in a baronial tournament. I was like, hit me in the dome. So I'm fighting sword and buckler with a hanging guard over, you know, just throwing at him because he'd killed tons of people in this Iron Man and was fighting me in the finals. And I was like, I don't want to be baronial champion. You've killed 100+ people. just hit me in the head. And he's like, nah, I ain't letting you get away from that so much there, Yo Grace. And so when I started him high, he hit me in the floating rib off the edge of my shield. He displaced my floating rib. I couldn't take a deep breath for, I don't know, a couple of months. It hurt to move. And I was like, why did you not hit me in the head? He's like, nah, you deserve better than that. You want a real fight. I was like, I'm going to stripe you so bad.
I would like to note that you just literally answered why he didn't hit you in the head in the previous question, where you said that if you get hit in the body, it doesn't matter if both of you guys lose that fight.
100%. He knew, but I was using a small domed buckler, and it came off the edge of it, hit me right in the floating rib, and it's all I could do to roll around and get my breath back. And in my mind, I was like, every time we fight, I'm hitting you so hard. Ozar, he's my current senior sir, who I would say is probably the best unbelt in the SCA. He's super, super, super good at what we do. And
is he the one that I met in Australia?
No, you met Valor, my current junior squire. Ozar is 6'4", 25, and has been my student since he was 16 or 17.
So he's a fucking monster, is what you're telling me.
Really good. And he squats like 485, like just ridiculous numbers. Big, strong kid who is 24, 25 now, and has been my student for over a decade and is really good. He's really good at foam. It's a warlord over there. Super, 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 super good here. Doesn't do well with the sassy older people, but is a straight up murderer. And hopefully he'll go to some of the events with me this coming up year. But I would never, ever let him hit me in the body like that again. Not ever.
He's a fun fight. He's a really fun fight.
Yeah, and he enjoys it. He's not like he's a mean guy. He just wants to fight and it puts stick on people.
Yeah.
So Bela, what's your answer?
So I have two, and it's kind of a tie. The first was the first summer that I was really in the SCA. I've been fighting for maybe 4 months, and we were at an event and we were playing orc ball, which is basically soccer and fighting combined. And this guy named Hadrian was fighting Florentine Two Stick, and I was fighting sword and shield, and I got way out of position because I was paying attention to the ball, and he hit me in the armpit, like right here, and hit some nerve cluster or something, and my entire arm went numb, and I couldn't breathe. I was like, I couldn't get off the field and get my helmet off fast enough. I thought I was going to pass out and die. And I still have a little bit of a bruised, discolored area where he fucking hit me, and that sucked. And the other one was about 5-6 years later at Australia War during one of the con competitions, and I fought Sir Georg of Glacier's Edge from Oertha. This man is 6'8", 300 pounds, aptly named as the Man Mountain of Oertha. And we were both fighting Florentine Two Stick Sven. You would have loved it. And he hit me on the inside of my left thigh so hard that it bruised on the outside of my thigh. And I legit walked with a limp for a month and a half after that event. I was like, no one's ever hit me there again, ever. I don't give a fuck who it is, what I got to do to block it. No one's hitting me there again, ever. And no one has.
So now I want to tell my other story, the worst I've ever been hit story. Myself and my squires are running a golf course together, and I'm Prince, and we're all known to run two stick together. Back, 10 of us or so, jacking people up, and we run into Callantier, who are all known for using great swords and glaives, and we're working people down. And my squire Ragnar gets stone cold Steve Austin. Somebody gives him the shoulder and tackles him to the ground, and another goes away. So there's 4 or 5 greatsword guys in front of me, and I'm doing business, working them up. And I was like, what's up now? And so I see a couple of them really rear back. So I drop down real low with my swords up, just waiting, just hard block as I can. And the guy directly to my left that I never saw hit me like a baseball bat across the base of both shoulder blades. It bust the skin open. ripped the skin open, and so I immediately bled through my fucking tunic where I got hit. I rolled around like I was on fire with gasoline. You're like, you know, had my hands up by my side, running around like this, rolling around, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I was like, couldn't speak. You know, I had to chase my squire down who had got tackled, and I was like, I think I'm bleeding. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're definitely bleeding." So for the longest time on the base of my shoulders, and these two spots, it looks like somebody ripped fucking wings off, and I had these nice little scars at the base of my shoulder blades from some random guy in Calentire. I wanted to high five that motherfucker for that great shot that he hit me with, but all I could say was fuck. In circles. Still not as bad as the rib shot because it didn't incapacitate me, but definitely ruined a couple tunics at Go Fours, and I want to be like, damn, nice shot. So I learned when you're fighting the Calentire, always have a dude to your left. Don't assume you're the badass hero all the time. Somebody gonna
So both of mine were while I was an unbelt. So one, super snarky unbelt. This was before I blew out my shoulder and my elbow. Fight Uther. And Uther hits me low. And proceeds to cave my kneecap around his stick. So he blew out the inside of my right knee. And all I can really remember as being hit there was just like, oh, that's like getting kicked by a mule. That's like what my brain did, where it was like, oh, hey, ranch bitch, we're gonna install this program real quick. Like, and so we were supposed to do like 10 fights. I would like to note that I did 7 of those from my knees because I couldn't walk. He hit me fight 3, fight 3. And then the rest of the fights where he'd be like, do you want to stand up? And I'm like, I can't, Your Grace. So we'll continue from here. And then he, like the giant he is, finishes these sets of fights where he completely beats the dog shit out of me. I'm just going to note, like, I want to note at this moment in time, there was some fight from my side, but it was definitely like the angry ranch girl fight. Where he realized that this was an ego contest. And this is one of the reasons why Uther is one of my favorite people, is that he understood at that moment in time, it was all about my ego surviving what was occurring. And then he reached down and grabbed me by the back of my fucking chest harness and just picked me up underneath his arm like you would a small chihuahua. And carried me to the bench, where he then sat me down and he'd be like, so I would like to note that you're done for the day. And I am now walking away with your helmet. So he fucking stole my helmet. So I couldn't continue fighting because there was no way I was walking.
I don't think anybody's ever been, a lot of people have been kicked by a mule. They always see like the stories of like them turning around and kick you. It's the fucking front foot.
It's that little fucking jab they can do.
Yeah, little Joe pop to get you in the fucking arm or the leg or something. You're rolling around like you've been shot by a gun, you know.
Yeah, no, I would like to note that fucking sucks. And then my second one is so Havek and I are trying to figure out if we're going to be in a knight squire relationship. And he is currently working on Two Stick. So he now has the right hand that is the murder hand. This hand understands power generation. And then he has the left hand, which is a hate crime. And so we're doing slow work because I'm now the mobile pal. And I understand that. So we're slow work. We're at like 25% speed. So you don't block shit that you miss. I would like to note. So like you go, oh, look, I've missed this thing. I'm going to understand like the mechanics behind missing this thing. So I'm not going to jerk block it. He hit me so hard in the left hip that he split it to the bone. Like, literally, I have a scar on my hip that is just Havek. Slow work. And I, at this moment in time, am trying to impress the giant ent that I would really like to be a squire to. Like, so which means you suck it up and you have poise and everything else like that. So he does this to me, and all I can think of is do not show anything. Where we haven't since had the conversation where I'm in blue jeans at this moment in time when we're doing this, so we've got like helmets on because you always put your helmet on if you're doing slow work with Havek because he's just gonna fucking hit you in the head. And so I peeled my blue jeans out of my hip layer and still decided to squire to the man. But it's one of those things that like I've been hit by like Octa. Octa is the hardest I've ever been hit in like a fight. that was just stick-based hate at that moment in time. And I would like to note that he is on my scale of like, I get hit by other people and I'm like, not as hard as Octa. And then there's other times where I'm like, can't fuck me up as bad as Havek did. Because also I would like to note that I'm only 5'5". I am a wee puny fighter in what we consider the SCA. Like there's things that I should not do because I am just SCA motherfucking size puny. I would also like to note that His Grace can 100% prove that I am dense as a brick, though.
100% true.
So, like, I may be short as fuck, but I'm also like trying to hoist a feed bag when you're not ready for it.
Yeah,
I don't think you're that dense.
I did not use enough power. That's my fault. I'm underprepared for the lift.
I gave you warning. You didn't listen.
I did not. I was like, she's full of shit. I was like, totally should have used more power. Like, because I had you like strewn across my shoulder and my arm as I attempted to throw you the second time because I wouldn't let you go. I wasn't giving that up.
Yeah. So to fill everybody in, His Grace, and I'm going to drink to this. Because I am short as fuck. We are in the back of a vigil. And he's just like, well, I can hoist you up on the wall. And I said, Your Grace, I am close to 200 pounds. Are you sure you can do this? And he said, I got you. And I was like, you are
now,
so
in my mind, I was like, I ain't no weak bitch. I'll throw you up there.
Yeah, like, there's no fucking way you're 200 pounds. It's really like, this is my ego stroke right here where he was just like, there's no way you're 200 pounds. And so he gets halfway up this wall to this sit space so I can watch this vigil going on because I'm short as fuck. And then his body goes, that bitch is actually 200 pounds.
And I said, I didn't use enough force. So now she's like on my shoulder and my arm. And I just like heave her the rest of the way. And I was like, that was my bad. It was not nearly so smooth. It was more like, yeah. Oh, no. I was like, next time I throw your ass up on something, I'm going to use a little bit more force.
And so at this point in the middle of the vigil, both him and I are dying, like choking, trying not to laugh at this entire experience. And then we get glared at. And we're like, oh, sorry.
I was like, my fault. I was weak.
So, I may be 5'5", but, I'm built. All right. So we're ready for the next question?
My turn. This one is from Thomas Kenrickson. What is your inappropriate Jedi power and how would you misuse it?
My inappropriate Jedi power is most people will tell you that it's randomly seeing half naked people at the SCA as you're traveling from place to place. You're wanting to go do something. You're like, oh, there was a naked person. I didn't mean to see that. The first reign I was hi wifey that I was helping when Rafa was crowned. We were going around with his entourage, and then you're like that's just terrible. Like it's just hot as hell down here in Texas to begin with in the summer. It's not like you wear a ton to begin with. and avoid the situation at all possible. Too old, too nice.
Where His Grace is too old to be nice, I'm going to say that my inappropriate Jedi power is seeing all the boobies. Because this is going to be the one thing, as a aggressive female within the SCA, I get to see way more tits than I should be allowed to, and it is fucking fantastic. And so we're just going to ride that ride, and I'm going to say that's my Jedi superpower is the power of the tatas. And I'm going to continue to enjoy it and make sure that they feel safe around me so I can continue to see them.
Well said. Well said.
Do you have another Jello shot there, Bone Duke?
No, I'm all out of Jello shots at the moment, but I'll have more after.
So what would be your inappropriate Jedi power?
It doesn't involve Jordan mask. I don't know what's up.
Allegedly, it is convincing people that I've never met before in my life to take their clothes off in public. Best illustrated by we had a known world event in the Outlands in the Barony of Dragonspine, which is mundanely Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I was there. And at the end of the event, there was a after revel at a house, and we went and we're drinking and partying and having a good time. And a game of quarters began, and I've got some skills at the quarters. I have a lot of years of misspent youth on the quarters game, and 10 minutes into the game, the very well endowed young lady to my left was completely topless with her like 44 triple F bazongas just in everyone's face. And 2 hours after the quarters game ended, someone explained to me, you realize that's the Society Exchequer, right? And I went, I do now. So I think maybe I should have cards made that say, hi, I'm Bela. Welcome to the Outlands. Take your clothes off.
In their defense, they were probably looking for oxygen bucking up there.
It's possible. I'm just really good at talking people out of their clothes. I don't even know how it works, but it works.
I'm gonna go with solid and accepted out of you. So with that, we're at 2 hours. Yo, Grace, there has definitely been the expectation that the ostrich story will show up in the show. And there are still 62 people watching, shockingly, because we've been drunk jackasses for now 2 hours. And so do you feel like imparting this wisdom upon us?
Well, I usually only tell them there's at least 3 people who haven't heard it, but with 62 people, at least there's a couple that probably haven't heard it.
This is the best story ever.
It involves rednecks and ostriches in the 90s, so it's solid. It's a solid story, but I'll definitely tell it, and they can always ask for it in person. It's even better then because you get more of the movement and everything. But I'll give it a shot if you guys are interested in listening to it.
I think that would be an amazing way to close the show.
Yes, please.
Bailey got to hear it. I guess the first time we met there at the Outlands, I got to tell it in the Royal Pavilion. That's how I introduced myself to a bunch of people from the Outlands and Aidbelt that I had never met as I told this story. And so what a lot of people don't know is that this is a citified redneck here. I grew up super poor with a bunch of nothing on a ranch, and I used to go. I used to break horses for people and teach them tricks and all that stuff. And a friend of mine, who I consider at the time a big redneck, will let you know he's like Warblade redneck. When you first met him, like a super redneck. You know, like when you meet somebody, you're like, that guy's definitely a hillbilly.
So for those that don't know, that's Sir Falnor from the Outlands.
Yeah, super big hillbilly redneck. A good friend of mine. This guy that I knew. He's a big redneck. He's like, hey, I'm going to go look at a horse this weekend. You want to go with me? And at the time in the 90s, like the beef price went all crazy, and so in Texas, everybody thought it was a great idea to. They've been sold on raising these ostriches, selling them for meat and for eggs. You know, that's the big thing. And what people don't know is like after this whole beef came back down, people let these fucking ostriches go in the Tennessee river bottom or the river bottom and everything down there. Like it was a huge nuisance across Texas. So at the time, I think the only thing I knew about the ostrich is like from like an encyclopedia. You know, you look at it, you're like, ostrich can be up to 450 pounds, can be 8 foot fucking tall. You know, it's like definitely a prehistoric bird that I didn't want to get involved with. So my buddy, he goes and this is his story. He goes there and he checks them out because I was like, sounds a little sketchy to me. So he drives out to this farmer's place in the middle of nowhere. If you've ever been to reserve places, they got the big tall fences. He drives up in his little bitty car. And how I knew about the story, little interjections. When he came back to work on Monday, like he looked like being attacked by bees. Car got blood all in it, and it's bored with 3 nails. This will be important later on. But there's blood on his car. So he drives up there. The farmer, he's like, beep, beep. Farmer unlocks the gate. They drive down to the barn, you know. He's like, hey, we're going to get some feed up. We'll run down to the pond in my little Toyota. He's like, well, we'll shuffle up the horses. We'll come up and let you check them out. Look at his feet and everything. We'll bring him back up here. You'll look at him. I say, but you got to watch out. There's these ostriches out there. There's always at least one aggressive ostrich. He's like, how bad could it be? You know? So they get in a little car. They're like, they drive right down the little pond, you know, shake the little feed bucket. Up come the horses. They're like, oh, hey there, little buddy. He's all fucking looking at his feet, checking it out, you know. So he hears that's like, Rah! So he looks up. The farmer has just got in the truck. Close the door. Bam. He says, it's him, the ostrich, the farmer's in the truck behind him, and the pond. He said he's sitting there holding the horse's little hoof, looking at this. He's like, what do I have here? Says fucking ostrich is like, looking at him side to side. He's like, Wah! Yelling at him. Says he's got this little feed bucket. He's holding the foot. He's like, I don't know what to do. This motherfucker obviously wants something for me, right? So the ostrich stalks up on him, like, Wah! Horse is gone. Like me, the feed bucket, and this fucking ostrich. Like I was like, what's up now? He said, I'm all fucking ready. Ostrich comes easing up on me, like fucking just because they yell. They were super fucking loud. He said, I'm all ready. I'm all moving. It's like just kicks the fuck out of me right in the face, like just right off the bat. I was like, oh shit, you know. It's like I'm all swinging the fucking bucket at it, like, what's up now, motherfucker? He said, ostrich out moving back, got his wings all ready. He's like a goddamn Bruce Lee. He's like, so I kind of run forward. I don't do it. He's like, he fucking just pecks me right in the forehead. He's like, ah. He's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, oh, fucking swinging the bucket around at him. Got his wings, they'll keep me down. He's like, so I know how I'll tackle this motherfucker. He's like, so I run forward. He's like, I fucking try to take it down. He's like, this is a big fucking bird. He's like, I'm gonna try to wrestle it down. He's like, I knock it down. He's like, it really, really pissed him off when I fucking tackled him, you know. So in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna get away from this bird. I'm gonna run, jump in the water, right? Because it's a little bit, it's like 40 yards to the car. I run, jump in the water, the bird to go away. He's like, so I run my fat ass over there. I jump in the water. He's like, I'm all, he's like, I roll over. It's like I'm swimming. I was like, what's up now, bitch? And the ostrich is up on the fucking the bank, walking back and forth, just looking at me. He's like, I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm kind of swimming a little crescent, easing out so I gotta get up. I run the car. The birds just follow me. She's like, I'm all fucking hanging at the finger, like, what's up now, bitch? He said, ostrich takes 2 steps back, running, jumps in the water, swimming after me, got his little fucking feet kicking. He's like, I'm like, he's like, I'm all swimming. So that motherfucker comes over, grabs me like Michael Jordan. Little hand comes out, just grabs onto me and commences to kicking the shit out of me, just pecking me, just wearing me out. He's like, I thought I was getting the shit beat out of me on land. He's like, now I'm in the water, just like, just getting beat, pecked on. Like, I'm trying to swim from it. It's like I'm trying to punch it. It's like I'm trying to choke its little neck, you know. I'm holding on to it. He's like, ah. It's like it's not going well for me. He's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, but I realize he's like, I can't really choke it, but what I can do is if I can get a hold of his head, I can drown him. You know, so he's like, eventually I got his little head, I got him locked in my body lock. He's like, I'm just holding my breath under this water, trying to fucking drown this motherfucking bird. He's like, so I choked the ostrich to death. I absolutely drowned this motherfucker. He gives up, you know, and I'm just fucking down there like, oh, yes, motherfucker. He's like, I stand up, I'm in like a foot of water, you know, like I'm not very deep, but I'm like, God damn, you know, this whole time I'm wrestling fucking ostrich in 2 foot of water. He said the farmer gets out, he's like, oh my God. You know, he's, are you okay? He's like, yeah, fuck no, I'm not okay. I'm fucking bleeding everywhere. You know, he's like, God, he's like, I tell you what. He's like, I'll back my car up here, my little truck, we'll drag the ostrich, we'll roll it in the back. I'll take you to the barn, get my first aid kit out. So we drag this dead ostrich up in the back of the barn. I'll back the car, all the way up to the barn. We walk into it, it's a traditional barn. Stalls down both sides, little first aid kit on the back. We're back there, this dude guy's a little mirror, like putting a little eye down on me, like, ah! He's like, I'm fucking just scratched up, all beat up. He said, I'm sitting there. He's like, I hear this fucking, this loud fucking yell. So I look over behind me. Bam! The ostrich kicked that motherfucking door open. He's alive. So I got to kill him. He sees me at the fucking end of the barn. He runs his last down there. He's like, I don't know what to fucking do. His ostrich jumps up, kicks me to the ground, commenced to fucking just pecking the shit out of me, wearing me out. He's like, oh my God. He's like, I'm trying to fight it. This guy's the wings on me. It's super, super fucking pissed at me now. Just beating my ass. He's like, I know what I'll do. I'll run into one of these little side cages. He's like, I'll open the gate and get inside and lock myself in there, right? So the ostrich can't get to me. He's like, it's a little fucking sliding latch. He's like, it might as well be a goddamn combination lock. He's like, I'm trying to undo it. The bird's fucking beating my ass. I'm like, fuck the door. He's like, I'm running circles in there trying to get away from this motherfucker, door to door, trying to undo it. So they're locked open. I'm trying to get it where I can shut it. Can't fucking do it. Just wearing my ass out. So eventually he's like, I'm in there. The bird's all fucking hits me. He knocks me against the back of the cage. And what do I fucking feel? But a loose board. He said, I ripped that motherfucker loose. Got these 3 goddamn nails at the end of it. I was like, oh, it's on now, motherfucker. You know, so I'm out trying to I'm trying to hit him a little bit like Babe Ruth. He's like, oh, what's up? You know, gives me a couple good shots. You know, like, well, he's pretty good at blocking. He's got his wings out there. You know, he's like, I'm not sure. He's like, I'm gonna hit him in the head. That'll get him. You know, moving around like kung fu artist, just hit me some more. He's like, who knew? Pretty spry, kind of hard to hit in the head. You know, he's like, but them beady little legs. You know, he's like, I'm gonna get you. So I give him a couple body shots. I knock him down. He's all pecking me. I'm fucking beating on him. He's like, so I'm beating on this bird. He's getting a little punch drunk. He's hitting me. I'm hitting him. Eventually, you could tell he's taking the worst of it. He's like, I could have left at this point. I could have been like, fuck that bird, I'm done. But fuck that bird. He's like, so I beat this motherfucking ostrich to death with this board in the middle of this fucking barn. He's like, there is blood everywhere. There's blood in my mouth and my nose and my ears. It's fucking on everything. I got this motherfucking board. He's like, I beat this fucking ostrich to fucking death. And it was just screaming all the time, like, ah! Just fucking got to the end of it, just got my fucking board. He's like, I come out of that fucking deal. And there's that goddamn farmer, and he sees me. He's like, man, you okay? And I was like, do I fucking look okay? He's like, you still want to buy the horse?
Oh. I love that story.
And that's how my buddy drove up to work with fucking blood on his car and a board pretty fucking nailed it. Looking like I got attacked by some bees and some fucking shit that clawed him all up.
I just inhaled my drink.
There's a follow-up to that story. We went to a petting zoo. Years later, my wife has heard me tell the ostrich story many times, drunk, sober, all this thing. And so we go to a petting zoo. What do you see at a petting zoo? But these motherfucking ostriches, right? So a friend of ours was a zookeeper, and we learned that if you hold your hand up, you're taller than the ostrich, they'll let you push their head down, right? So I see these fucking adolescent ostriches. My wife is like, I'm not going down like that, right? So she's like 5 foot tall. So I'm gonna hold my hand up, you know, I walk up to them, and they're shorter than me, so I push their heads down. I was like, hey baby, come pet it, you know. She's like, I'm like, come on, pet it, you know, I got it down here. So eventually she barely pets her little beak, you know, she's trying to run away. And so I see these little kids coming up, and I was like, so they all got little food and everything because they want to feed the ostriches. And so I let the ostrich go. And what an ostrich does is if you got food for it, just fucking nails all that food in their hands. Bam, bam, like, ah, they're all fucking running. My wife takes off jogging, you know. Don't fuck with motherfucking full-grown ostriches. They're terrible. And it's not like a tame ostrich you see. Like, you got to understand, these are like in the middle of fucking Texas, not touched by fucking anything, because a farmer thought these would be great food. Like, these motherfuckers can be 9 foot tall, 400 fucking pounds, beat that ass. Fucking evil. And there's always an alpha ostrich. There's always one. Don't fuck with them. Lions don't even fuck with them.
That's my favorite line in all of this story. In all the run up to the end of this story is, even lions don't fuck with them.
They don't.
Like, just mic drop. Like, literally, you two-legged naked monkey with thumbs.
Yeah.
This bird will beat your ass.
They don't mess with them. They're like, let them go. We don't care. But that's the ostrich story. But for the longest time in the Trinity River bottom, and I was like, people just let them go. They were running around in Texas forever, fucking shit up, because they weren't when beef dropped back down in price, they weren't worth anything anymore. And it's fucking incredibly horrible to try to raise a 9-foot bird in the middle of fucking Texas. I don't know who thought that was a great idea, but they were everywhere. It's hilarious.
So California did emus, and emus are even more evil than ostriches.
These things are huge. Like, you try to explain to like a full-grown fucking ostrich, 9 foot tall, 450 pounds, like just knock you the fuck down. Not like a small ostrich, motherfucking big ones.
Oh yeah, no, and also like people don't realize that those are pretty much feathered velociraptors.
Yeah.
Like, welcome to what Jurassic Park was, and we think that we can keep this thing in a small box. Like, we are wrong. There's not enough electric fence or like woosaw to get these fucking birds to not just murder your shit.
It'll say he didn't buy the horse.
Yeah. I was about to say, did he still buy the horse?
He did not. He was so fucking mad. He was fucking fucked up for a while. Like,
yeah, I'm betting. So with that, we've run a little over 2 hours, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap the show up. This has been an absolutely delightful, hilarious time with you guys. I want to say that, Bela, you have been an awesome co-host. Sven, you've been an amazing guest. I am laughing so hard that I'm pretty sure tomorrow I'm going to wake up like I did an ab workout. And so we're just going to go with that. So with that, Sven, do you have any closing remarks, shows you want to do a shout out for, anything else like that?
No, don't fuck with ostriches, and I look forward to giving everybody 2 sword hugs.
I like how Sven's shout outs don't fuck with ostriches.
Legit.
Bela, do you have another show you want to shout out? Like one you run?
No, actually not the one I run, but actually some gentles in my kingdom have just started a show called Between Two Privies. They had their first show this last week and it was amazing. So if you get a chance to check it out, I recommend you do. Give them likes and love. It was a lot of fun with their first show, and I'm really looking forward to see what they have coming up in the future.
Yeah. So for mine, I'm going to say that Bela stole mine. I really want to support Between Two Privies. It's hilarious. It is very well done. They're interviewing non-peers, and they're doing it in the most hilarious fashion. Like, I'm super impressed with their tech. I'm super impressed with just how the game they're bringing is fucking on point. So my second shout out then will be to the West Kingdom 12th Night. So tomorrow is like many kingdoms are holding their 12th night virtually. So West Kingdom's 12th night is tomorrow. I believe court starts at 5 o'clock, and then we start hosting the parties afterwards. And I am Her Majesty's champion. And so I have been co-opted into hosting an after party at 7 o'clock. I would like to note that if we still last to 9 o'clock, we're playing Never Have I Ever as a drinking game. So
Nice.
show up, hang out in the after parties, come drink with me, everything else like that. It's going to be a rocking good time. And then as normal, we have to shout out Between Two Nights, or Ask the Nights. Jesus, I have drank way too much with you fuckers. So Ask the Nights and Calbar's Corner, they are producing some amazing stuff out there. So like, share, and follow them. Beyond that, I'm going to say, hey, like this show, share it to your friends, follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see you next week for, we have Giada on, and that show promises to be just as much of a riot as this one, because she's going to throw down. And so I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and thank you so much for sitting with us this week. And I have drank enough that I am slurring the shit out of my words. So good job, guys.
Thanks for having me on.